What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Nick 4K video. Today we're checking out a video from Shane Lee, and his video is titled, Where Are the 8K Movies? Let's check it out.
Comes to us via Flat Panels HD on the current status of 8K movies. So Miles De La Hoya revealed that Warner Brothers has scanned 35 to 40 titles in 8K or higher over the past 2 to 3 years, up from approximately 20 titles in early 2025, indicating that the pace is accelerating to getting us 8K content. De La Hoya explained that at Warner Brothers, the 8K effort is mainly concentrated around the preservation rather than on distribution. The aim is to scan the full catalog in Ultra HD resolution at 8K or even higher to capture all the content that is in the original, wrote the 8K Association. So far, most of the delivery work has been on 4K HDR content, but he said that an 8K version could be released later. The firm is getting as much content as possible into the 8K archive. So it looks like they're just keeping everything as safe as possible, just in case 8K ever does become a reality. So they're just backing it up and archiving it. Scanning a 35mm film in 8K takes roughly 3.5 times longer than 4K. 7 of the films were originally shot in 65mm, at least 4 in VistaVision and 1 in Technorama, while many were 35mm titles, where 8K likely represents the upper limit of useful resolution, depending on film stock, lenses, and other factors, he said. All of this is part of the preparation required before 8K movies can make their way to the viewers. Warner titles scanned in at least 8K but released in 4K include 2001: A Space Odyssey, Oppenheimer, Lethal Weapon, which is a good-looking 4K, by the way, Dirty Harry, Sinners, also another great-looking 4K, Purple Rain, Rebel Without a Cause, The Wizard of Oz, My Fair Lady, Blade Runner 1982, and Chapter 51, as well as North by Northwest, High Society, The Searchers, and West Side Story 1961 in VistaVision. Now, moving on to IMAX pushes beyond 8K. IMAX's Greg Chacho noted that the IMAX film format can theoretically reach 18K, though in the digital realm it currently uses a Laser Graphics Director 13.5K scanner. IMAX has been working on 8K since 1972, he said. All post-production today is digital. For major releases such as Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, studios are working in 8K. However, most VFX and CGI work continues to be rendered in 2K resolution, hence why we still get 2K DI movies upscaled to 4K. Some of them look worse than others, but a lot of them do look pretty good. 8K at home before cinema. Chacho also shared his view that the 8K ecosystem will take hold in homes through TVs and headsets before it reaches cinemas. Chacho pointed out that TV and headsets are likely to go 8K before cinema does, as there is not yet a DCI standard for 8K digital cinema. He has the advantage of seeing the original film versions with fantastic resolution, but if you see the DCI version, the resolution goes down, wrote the 8K Association. TVs are getting bigger and bigger, but the screen is staying at the same distance, so you need more pixels, Chacho said. Immersive sound is also important too. And in the future, 8K per eye headsets will drive immersive experiences. 8K TVs are already available but remain expensive and underwhelming compared to 4K OLED TVs, while current VR headsets typically offer around 4K or lower resolution per eye. So it seems that the IMAX gentleman thinks that TVs are going to become, 8K TVs will become more mainstream. But as we've seen in the past few years, I don't know how many people are really buying 8K television sets. And aside from JVC in the projector world, I think that only really benefits you if you have a really big screen pushing like 300, maybe like 250, 300 inches.
Yeah, so we did a video on this recently, but there was a massive 8K push a couple years ago, and it failed. And the reason why it failed is because not enough people adopted 4K. It's at the point now where like 4K TVs are relatively cheap now. OLEDs are way cheaper than they were. So it's one of those things where consumers are slowly moving to 4K now. Like there's been a long span of time where people were kind of dipping into 4K, but also not. People like my parents, they have a Sanyo 32-inch 1080p TV from like 2006. Like they still have that. So it's one of those things where like there are people out there who are still okay with their 1080p's, and that is the basis of technology from all standpoints. Is what it comes down to. It technology needs to evolve. It always needs to get better and better and better. And if it doesn't, usually it goes obsolete. So it doesn't necessarily mean, TVs are just going to stop being used and we'll start using our phones more, but it's the idea that like there has to be an evolution, and I do see in the future 8K becoming an actual thing. The issue is the adoption from 1080p to 4K took so long that now 4K is starting to really take over, that now people are getting used to 4K, right? And while there's people like me and you who are watching this, we might give a shot to 8K if it's actually good, right? We give it a shot. I would. It would depend on, the backers on it. Like maybe if we got like James Cameron and like Christopher Nolan and whoever else behind it to really do a deep dive, we could probably do that. But it's one of those things where like the adoption of 4K is now officially like in swing, and even still there's people who are okay with 1080p. They don't need the 4K, and that's okay. But we're seeing that adoption just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually once most of the market is 4K saturated, there's going to be that push for the next evolution. And I just don't really see what the next step would be. Like what's after 4K? Like you can't do a 4K 2, like a Dolby Vision 2. Like you can't do that, right? So what is the next step? It'd have to be 8K. And so for those of you who are watching this, there's a lot of people who go, oh, you can't tell the difference between 4K and 8K. Yes, you can. I work with 8K files regularly, and you can tell the difference. Now, usually, I don't ever render anything in 8K. But what I do is I take an 8K file, and I'll squeeze it down into a 4K format. And so that downscaled 8K is actually sharper and more clean than the native 4K footage. I can put the same thing right next to each other, and you can see the difference. So there is benefit to the 8K, but is it really that much to the point where people are going to start adopting it, especially now? I don't know. But just like the guy in this article said, screens are getting bigger. 8K is going to have to be needed at some point. We don't know when, but at some point 8K will eventually be the future. Now, will that actually be native 8K movies, or will that be 4K content scaled up to be 8K with advanced AI? I guess we'll find out. But it's an interesting situation. I think if we had a real big push on 8K and it was actually worth it, and we actually had studios taking the 8K serious, the HDR serious, and really pushing for it, I'd give the format a shot. But it would depend on the pricing for stuff, because if we're doing 8K movies, they're going to probably try to charge like $50 a piece for them, which is a lot. So as long as they actually put like the work, like the visuals, the sound quality, HDR, they or the Dolby Vision 2, as long as they put the work into those movies and they justify like a $50 price, I could see it being something to go with, in the future. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments.
At the same time, that 8K upscaling that at least JVC uses with their current projector lineup, really not really bright enough to push beyond like 200 inches. It starts getting really dim after that, at least from my experience. And using 8K on JVC upscaling at 150 inches, at least on my screen, it works good, but definitely not a night and day difference, or really that much of a negligible difference, I feel. As far as like TV 8K, I mean, I don't see too many people again purchasing 8K TV sets. I think if we start getting some more native 8K content, possibly that'll become more of a reality to most of us, but they are kind of expensive right now. And what kind of delivery medium are we going to get for 8K? The only possible solution I see is if Kaleidoscape adopts 8K. And are we going to need new hardware? Because as we know, Kaleidoscape did join the 8K Association a few months ago, so they could be leveraging their way to utilizing their software and hardware, maybe future hardware, into delivering 8K. But as far as discs, I don't see. I mean, I know they had announced some disc formats in the past for storage medium, but are we going to get that for 8K movies? I guess that has yet to be determined. I could see a world where we get 8K movies on like USB sticks. That could be interesting.
That's what I thought too.
Which I think would be a pretty cool solution actually. But as far as like streaming 8K,
and it'd be cheap for them to do that too, because like you can get like little cheap like 256 gigabyte USB sticks for like $10 now. So they can just take that, put the movie in for free, and then sell that movie drive for $50, and really make a good profit. So that's something, right? Like that's a way to go about it if they wanted to actually pursue it. But as far as like discs, I know that they have those really big discs they made, but that aren't necessarily supposed to be meant for movies. But they're at the point where they could do that too. But really, I guess the cheapest option would really be just to get a bunch of really cheap, high capacity USB drives, load them up with movies, and then that's the new thing. And you don't necessarily need a disc drive anymore. You just have like, maybe you could sell like an 8K converter player or something like that. It just sits underneath your TV. It has like a slot for a USB plug. You plug the USB in and press play, and that's it. You don't necessarily have to do the whole thing. So there is an element where I could see them doing that, and it being not just cheap to do, but also relatively profitable for them as well. So there is that. As far as streaming goes, I know not everyone is able to do 8K streams. I'm sure as the world's data transfer infrastructure gets stronger, improved, better, we'll see maybe 8K streams becoming more of a thing. But for right now, it might make sense to do physical sales through a USB stick. I actually kind of dig that idea. I think it's cool.
I mean, we don't even have lossless 4K streaming right now. How are we going to get to 8K streaming? But it seems like they're not really focusing too much on the 8K delivery for physical media, at least yet, rather than just backing up their 8K films in the event that we do get something that can deliver us, the consumer, the 8K content on TVs and projectors. And do we really think the headsets are going to replace television sets and projectors for at-home viewing? I suppose if you're by yourself, then yes, that could be a viable solution. But if you want to share the experience of movies, TV shows with families, friends, your significant other, do you really think you're going to sit there on the couch, each wearing headsets to enjoy a 2-hour movie? I think that seems a little bit far-fetched.
Yeah, that's weird.
However, I know the current status of this younger generation, that could be a reality. But then you got to take into consideration as well, like how good is the audio going to be on these headsets? Are we going to get true 3-dimensional spatial audio where if we're sitting there on our couches, is the soundstage going to sound like it's coming from, several feet out in front of us and several feet to the sides and back of us? Like, what is that?
They should do the, if they have like these massive USB sticks, it should be like the movie and then like the FLAC files, like the full power files, no MP4s, just like full FLAC, everything you can get from a movie audio. Like, that'd be crazy.
That going to sound like, because if we're just watching headsets for movies and we're watching it right in front of our faces, and then we're just listening to like 2-channel, that's half the experience is audio. I don't think anybody's going to be wearing headsets to watch movies and using their home theater setups, because that's going to be even weirder. Just having something strapped to your face and then having your Atmos system all around you, that's going to be even more strange. But I think the question is for you guys. How do you think we're going to consume 8K content in the future? Or is it going to be via a new optical medium? Is it going to be through headsets? Or are we going to see the Kaleidoscope adopted? Or do you have some other way? Leave your comments down below and let me know.
I think it's going to be all of those. I think 8K will eventually come into the entertainment space. It's going to have to. Like I said, technology's main reason for existing is to always evolve. That's just what technology does. And if it doesn't evolve, it dies. And so I think it's one of those things where eventually when 4K is adopted to its furthest point, 8K will be the next step. Now, I will say that when a lot of Shane's videos, he covers more of like the sound quality stuff. He does cover visual stuff too, but I really watch him for when I need like sound quality updates and information. So this was a great video, man, and really interesting story. I think it's one of those things where it might not happen, but I'm pretty sure it will. So that's just me. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn notifications for more videos. If you want to check out any more of my videos, they're right here on screen. Go ahead and click those links. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you next one. Peace.